October 30th, and this is the co-curricular activities committee meeting for the Monroe Township School District. And we are having the meeting a little early because next week schools are closed, just in case anybody out there in the virtual world is wondering why we're having the meeting so early. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming out on this dreary Monday evening. First, I think we're going to flip the agenda. We're going to start with the discussion items. We'll get to you, Mr. Snyder. Don't worry.
That's okay.
So why don't we start with the CTE work-based learning?
Sure, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sure. I always forget to give you guys some. So we thought, Dr. Lehman and I thought that we're heading up on the quarter pole of the market period or the school year, I would say. So it'd be a nice opportunity to give you an update, to give the committee an update on our work-based learning program, which is formerly known as Senior Option. Actually, earlier today, Dr. Higgins and I were meeting on the programs and studies, and last year it said work-based learning, formerly known as Senior Option. We were removing the formerly known as this year as we completed our evolution into that program. So I'll give you an update on that in a moment, but most recently, earlier last week, I had an opportunity to attend a workshop delivered by the New Jersey Department of Education, which updated us on the state's position on current technical education and what some of the state initiatives are and how that factors into the work-based learning program, both here locally and throughout the state. So I'll start off with just the state updates, and then we'll kind of talk about what's happening here locally in Monroe. So the Office of CTE, which is an ironic name, because that's right. So because now you hear CTE and you think of like the NFL and concussions and the brain injuries. So like when we hear like when you say we're promoting CTE, everyone's like, what? No, but like career technical education, they use CTE. It's an official state designation for programs that are designed specifically to prepare students for a track, whether it be in higher education or in the workplace. And it works in conjunction with structured learning experiences, which is what they call SLE, what we used to call Senior Option, which we now call work-based learning. I am happy to say that one of the things the state did give in their update was that the state is moving towards the name work-based learning entirely too. We mentioned that last year when we had presented on that, so we were happy that we were a little bit ahead of the curve on that. So, but one of the things that the state's concerned about is statewide program registration and designation for career technical education is trending downward. And there's a couple ways to look at that. I have my own opinion, but basically what that means is high schools, according to state reports, are offering less and less career technical education programs. Now, that just may mean state schools are not reporting them out because in order to receive CTE designation, you have to go through a bunch of checkboxes according to the state, have all these different things in place. So sometimes school districts, in many cases, Monroe is an example of that, we offer relevant, authentic 21st century career technical education programs here, but we may not carry a CTE designation on all of them. So the presenter even mentioned that as it might be a little misleading data. I think the important thing they were trying to say is that they would like to see school districts, regardless of their position or their mantras, to really start focusing on technical training, skills training, and things that we've been talking about around here for a decade now. They really want schools to not just double down on secondary education. You know, we want to obviously continue to build out our pathways to colleges and universities, but the data is showing that more and more students are pursuing different paths after high school, whether that is going into a technical program or an associate's degree in conjunction with a technical program or a certification program. So the state would like to see schools continue to explore that and offer options alongside of their commitment to building out pathways to competitive secondary education schools. So that lines up with a lot of the things we've been talking about here in Monroe and that we've been trying to do. One of the other points that they highlighted was the after school, they call them CTSOs, Career Technical Student Organizations. Everything's an acronym of the state, as you know. That's everything from DECA to FBLA, FCCLA, which is a consumer science answer to that, to TSA, Technology Student Association is an example. And anything really that is a club that extends your technical education would qualify as that. In the state has a whole list of clubs, and we have many of them in Monroe under the high school and middle school opportunities for after-school co-curricular. So they want the schools to be, when you're looking at budgeting and programs that may come and go, they really would like to see schools maintain the existence of those career technical student organizations. So a lot of it was affirming stuff that we were already doing here. They like the idea of certification programs coming into the schools. They talked a little bit about partnerships with community colleges and stuff, and we have some, that's a larger discussion, but they have some thoughts about that. And they offer an annual conference in addition to their standalone seminars down in Trenton for school districts really that are looking to build out programs. So here's what's happening here in Monroe. Next year, we've been trying to build out our industrial arts program for some time now. Limitation of space, teacher availability and certifications. Next year, we are excited, and we made this decision this morning, Dr. Fratelli and Dr. Higgins and myself, we're going to add a program to a course to the program of studies. That just because we add it doesn't mean it's going to run. We're going to gauge student interest. But it's vehicular systems and medical fabrication. And what this curriculum is going to look like is everything from small engine construction and deconstruction and analysis to metal work. And we have the shop, we have a welding shop and a metal shop back there. And we think that based on some of the enrollment trends that we've seen, we would potentially be able to add this class without abating any current wood shop classes. So it would kind of function in that realm. So that would be one opportunity for us to build out our vocational training programs here at the high school. One of the things that Dr. Higgins has asked me to do is to look at adding additional CTE program of study designation to our existing programs. A couple of the programs that we believe might qualify for this would be video production, culinary arts, working with children immediately, because they pretty much check off those boxes. So it's a matter of us getting some paperwork together, sending it to the state, and those programs would gain that CTE designation. What does that mean? It's style points on your state report card, and it could potentially open up the door for Perkins grant funding. So that would obviously be something useful. Specifically, Perkins grant money is good has to be used for anything new, can't be used for something that exists. But when you think about all these little fast growing programs, they have increased expenditures, that could be beneficial. So we're looking at that, and Ms. Dale is helping me with that, obviously. We're currently looking at more career certification tracks. It's more of a broad bullet there, but we're out there talking with technical schools. Mercer County Community College is a very large and diverse vocational program, a lot of skills training there. So they've actually been a pretty eager partner of us so far. And we're looking at trying to bring some of their certification programs here. So when we flip the page, I'll talk about school-based internships, but we have school-based internships here in the district, as you know. And what's nice about building those programs out is that we control the learning experiences for the students, and we can make them more personalized and line them up with resources and services. And what that means is that we can offer it to students in our TAPS programs or students that are looking for a more practical hands-on experience. And when we flip the page, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But we want to continue to add opportunities in that area. And those are paid positions working within the district under the supervision of content area experts. And these are some of the programs at the bottom left folder that we currently have in motion. Yale, I'm going to go back to AP Music here in a moment because I just want to talk about work-based learning, and then I'll kick it back to Yale because Yale, Mr. Snyder, has been working with us through his department on trying to add some of these dual credit programs to us. So on the other side of the page, just speaks specifically to the program we have here at the high school, work-based learning. So down, you can see where we are this year compared to last year, and it's significant growth that we're very proud of. So as far as students enrolled in college courses through our work-based learning program, last year we had 0. This year we have 28 students currently earning college credits at the local community colleges in which we've established partnerships. And you can see, interestingly enough, well, not that interesting, that we actually have more students in Mercer than Middlesex. A lot of that has to do with geographic proximity, but also Mercer does tend to offer more technical programs in that area. And we're finding that a lot of our students that are headed towards community college or local colleges, a lot of times are entering that area of employment. And that information is driving a lot of our programmatic development. So, as you can see, there's a theme here. A lot of the work that Ms. Dale is currently looking at right now is in that technical vocational areas, because it seems to be the students that are really optimizing this program are heading down that path. So we're doing that in addition to obviously the college programs that we're trying to build out. The school-based internships is something that I'm really excited to look at over the next couple of years, particularly because of the utility that they bring to the district in addition to the learning experiences. So we have 32 positions currently. These are paid and unpaid positions here in the district that offer students learning experience that line up with their goals. And I listed it there. So we have one student in IT. That's an area that we're looking to build out next year. So they're offering tech support and they're under Mr. Feldman and his staff's supervision. We have 6 athletic trainers, which is one of our longest standing work-based learning programs. It's very competitive to get into under Mr. Cogdale. That's an exceptional learning experience for students down there. Our television production, you've seen these kids all over the district. They're here at the board meetings. They're at the concerts. They work with us to make sure that our community can get content in a nice way. And then our AV support, that's a kind of an offshoot of that position. Graphic design, they're already backlogged for like six weeks already, the graphic design interns here in the district. And then this year, we started rolling out teaching assistant positions to provide support to very unique content areas within the district. And we added 3 to our industrial engineering track, 1 to our civil engineering track, and we have 2 music education interns that travel with one of our high school teachers under his supervision to provide support to our elementary learners. And that program is going to be a fast growing program. It functions the exact same way as our teacher mentorship program and the Working with Children program. So it's pretty nice to get other content areas into the school-based internship program. So that's been a nice little twist that we added this year from Mr. Snyder's department. We also have 3 community service positions. These are volunteer, we don't call them internships, but they're volunteer employment opportunities under the supervision of the work-based learning program, but also in conjunction with another organization. So we do have 2 students working within the Hackensack Meridian healthcare system in multiple locations. And then we also have our community-based fitness leader, which is in conjunction with our community-based fitness program here at the high school, and that is a volunteer position as well, although they are earning their 10 high school credits for their service in that position. The last new element of the work-based learning program that's new this year is that we're having seminars for all participants. And we've already completed 2 this year for new hire orientation. So these are for students that are working in positions, learning how to function, some of those soft skills. And we ran another seminar for our college students. And basically what we're doing is we're checking in with them. We're talking about the experience being on campus at Middlesex or online or Mercer. And our teachers touch base with them to kind of remember they're still high school kids. So we, as part of the program deliverable on their end, they meet with our coordinator and reflect and do all this other stuff. Upcoming seminars include resume writing, and that's coming up in November and December. And all of our participants will get a crash course on preparing for college interviews. And then January, we'll be doing a seminar for employment interviews. So one of the other things we really tried to do this year, as opposed to past years, is add value to participating in the work-based learning program. So you're not just going to go get your 10 credits or showing up somewhere else besides the classroom. There's embedded, aligned, academic modules that we offer throughout the year to kind of take them through the life cycle of this experience. We'll bring them back at the end of the year and we'll do some sort of culminating event. I think the things that we really like to focus on is the growth, particularly categorically. We jumped up, obviously, just in 1 year, we have many more people participating in our college programs. And I'm excited to see the work that Ms. Dale will continue to turn out. I'd like to update the committee again, maybe in the spring. Because at that point, our program of studies will be issued and our students will begin registering. So it'll be interesting to see what the numbers look like that there. I kind of jumped all over the place, but another part of the work-based learning program that is unique, but it's a big component of what we're trying to do is offer the dual credit programs, which for our students that want to stay put. So we're identifying classes that line up with that are college level, that have the curriculum in place, the assessment mechanisms in place, and have the instructor that meets the criteria of our neighboring colleges. And it's actually a lot harder to get a dual credit agreement than you might think, despite the fact that we have a ton of teachers with master's degrees and everything like that. But Mr. Snyder, I don't know if you want to update on our latest edition.
So when I still being new to the role, one of the courses that I immediately looked at was our AP Music Theory course. I'm very familiar. I took this when I was a high school student, and we have 3 levels of theory 1, theory 2, and then the AP course. So starting right in July, I reached out to Middlesex County with our curriculum that we are currently using for the AP course, the resume of our teaching staff, and they had to review it and it took quite a few weeks, but I'm happy that they got back to me and they said our curriculum for music theory AP aligns with their music 201 course. So starting this spring, they're going to reach out, and the students that are currently in AP theory are going to be able to register through through Middlesex County. So I'm very, very happy about that. And I also want to commend Miss Lindsay Reinhardt, who has only been with us. She was a leave replacement back in March, and now our full-time choral director, who I've watched in this class bits and pieces, is just doing a phenomenal job. So I'm hoping that all of the students currently enrolled in the class are going to take advantage of it this spring with Music 201 through Middlesex County.
And it's significant because we've had a tough time trying to crack through Middlesex for the last couple of years, and that's our second, I believe, formally articulated program now.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Met with them, they
yeah.
were very open.
one of many more to come. So that was a nice thing to do. And I neglected to mention what our new what we're projecting to add next year for our school-based internship. So we're looking at adding a position to work between the athletic office and our school store, and also a school information intern to work throughout the athletic department to help with some sports marketing positions. And the idea would also be to continue to develop programming that appeals to students in our TAPS program as well, because some of these positions that we're developing within the school district, again, they are job-ready positions, and sports, Mr. Barantika and I have looked at sports marketing and the athletic office as a wonderful opportunity to engage in everything from information management, communications, marketing, inventory management, sales, and media stuff. So we're looking at that as an opportunity to kind of develop these school-based positions for employment preparedness. So that's the update on our work-based learning program and what the state is doing and how we're trying to work with the Monroe model in there.
Thank
At
you.
that point, if
Anybody have any
has
questions for Mr. Morrell?
I would let you go first, because you.
No, you go.
You can
I'm
ask.
the chair. You go first.
Thank you. I do have a few. First of all, this is very impressive. I
Thank
just,
you.
from a perspective of not knowing, when you say we had 0 positions in the work-based learning college courses last year, we offered and our students didn't take it,
Correct.
lack of information.
So there were students that were still enrolling in, on their own, but not through the former work-based learning program.
And what is it that these 28 students are doing this year? Are they taking classes
Yes.
at those?
Various classes across multiple content areas. A lot of them we find to tend to be a course you might, how do I say? A course that pops up on everyone's psychology 101, business stats, or stats or mathematics. A lot of these courses that you would see, you have to take no matter what your major
Right,
is.
just gonna say, no matter what.
Yeah, they tend to.
Basically.
Yeah, core class. Thank you.
It's a freshman
Right.
10, take a
And
certain
what's
rate.
interesting about that is that, these are students are probably doing this in addition to a full course load.
Mhm.
What's nice about the work-based learning program, the way we're trying to do it is we're trying to offer context in addition to the enrollment in a college class. So our teacher, Ms. Dale, will, once that student enrolls in whatever class, say it's psychology, now that activates her mentorship and how to make sure that student's enrollment in that class is being contextualized in what we're trying to accomplish their senior year in high school.
And how does the student, it's just that early out that they take this class, does the timing match that way, or they could be taking this class after a full day in high school?
They don't have to be like on campus from 12:30 to 2 o'clock. Is that what you're asking?
No, yeah,
No,
so just
yeah.
for that one class?
Yeah, they have to produce a transcript upon completion.
Okay,
And in addition to completing the course, there's some other deliverables that they provide our coordinator. So there's reflection sheets, they talk about, she'll meet with them and we'll talk about the grade, and how it's going, and so that's, we start to assemble criteria of completion from our end. And then, assuming they meet all the criteria, which they do, they get their high school credits.
the reason,
But they can do an evening class, take advantage of senior option, or work-based learning,
Work-based.
and, like babysit their siblings, and then if most of them are doing online classes. If their classes start at 7 o'clock, it runs till 9:20, as long as they meet our deliverables, that they meet our qualifying criteria.
And are we educating our children? Are the counselors educating the juniors before the junior year ends about this?
Yeah, and that was precisely the topic of our program of studies meeting at the high school today. So Ms. Dale is constructing a new component of the high school programs of studies document that's on our website to further really communicate what this program has to offer. We are building a website. I don't know why I put it on your handout, because you can't really click on it. But it is, if you go to the high school webs page, on the banner, you'll see a little work-based learning tab. There's not much there for prospective students, but the current students, that's where they go to get to her information, Ms. Dale's information. Our goal would be to have a digital pull-out of our program of studies on that website, so parents can get there early enough this year. Last year was too late.
Yes.
And then in addition, the guidance counselors are visiting our department meeting in December, so we can prepare them, our department staff can prepare them for their upcoming registration meetings with the children.
Which is March for juniors?
I think it's earlier than that. for
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
is December too late for them to come to your department?
No, so Dr. Catelli usually uses the holidays as our big, like, once we hit the holidays, we're done, like, no changes, whatever's in place is in place, because she likes to make sure that her counselors have enough lead time to speak to, our students. That includes the incoming eighth graders from Jamesburg.
I do have one more question. So does all of this tie into the expansion of our option two? Or,
Well, yeah, I would imagine everything could tie in with that, because what option two, what it's doing is giving students more choice to hunt down whatever lines up with their individual,
so all of this can
yeah.
contribute to it, right?
And I think the real winner for the growth of this, in addition to option two, is the late in, option. Because what we learned through feedback of when we would exit interview students prior to the program overhaul, students were running away from this because of their obligations here in town after school. So like, I'm not gonna go home and sit on the couch for 45 minutes just to come back for practice or for, Model UN or whatever. But we think that, we flex the day in an opposite way. Now all that stuff is still in play. And again, now that they're all doing online classes too, it offers a lot more. I don't think they're waking up and logging in.
And they can sleep in
Yeah.
high school or something like that.
Yeah, thank you.
No, this is great. Thank you so much for this. This is,
No, thanks for the update.
no, I appreciate everything. ELA resources, Dr. Lehman, I believe that's you.
Sure, yeah, just to follow up to some feedback we got at one of the board meetings. So, we have implemented, for the entire staff this year, a new ELA resource. That's really the core structure of our program from K to 5. And, in doing so, and it's part of our yearly process anyways, we evaluate all of our instructional resources across the board, math, science, social studies. And we made a few changes. Two specific things were brought up. One of them was a product called Epic. So on our district end, there was no change made to whatever we do with Epic, which is we've evaluated the opportunity, and it meets all of our child security, online security measures and profiles. But we have not expended any district resources along the way to support that. So, and it's free for the teachers to utilize. So they can continue to utilize that. We would support them in terms of using that resource, but nothing's changed in that end. And then the other specific resource that was identified as pivoting off of was a product called Raz Kids. And that program, it was primarily like a reading comprehension kind of tool. And all of the tools, and we get our inboxes full of sales and marketing things, and they're kind of flashy and things, but we have the ability to, and we, in our current resources, cover everything that Raz did. So it was really a duplicate kind of resource. It's something we brought in, we had for a while, we began to phase it out, and COVID hit, so we kept it. We kept it in play because it was an opportunity for us to be able to, when students come into the classroom, they have classroom libraries and libraries in their buildings. That's not something they could have access to during COVID. So we maintain this resource through COVID. But now with the addition of MyView, as well as be back in the buildings with classroom libraries, regular media centers, as well as all the other tools that we currently have in place. RAS Kids was identified as a duplicate kind of resource that we have. And again, not to say it wasn't utilized, it certainly was utilized, but there are other things that we have that are also utilized. And, you know, when we look at being responsible and using tools that we already have in place, curricular tools in place, the MyView program covers just about everything that RAS does. And then we have other tools in some of our other resources like our MAP program, our NWA MAP program has some of the assessment tools that some teachers, and again, not all teachers utilize in RAS, but if they were looking for something there, we point them in the direction of MAP, because there, like I said, there are some supplemental tools that they can utilize there. So we are confident and comfortable that that tool is, although it was certainly something that was utilized, that resource has many other things that replace it and or were also being utilized. And it was a duplicate that we were, again, phasing out pre-COVID, maintained through COVID because of the digital access piece to it. And now we're back to phasing it out again. And again, that's kind of the core of this. We do have, you know, if a parent is looking for a resource or something like that, you know, we certainly can support them. The teachers are trained in MyView. They're continually being trained in MyView. The entire district is going through, the first year everyone is using it. We had a significant year-long pilot and got a lot of great feedback from teachers. Everyone's had initial trainings. So we, you know, again, we are confident that they have the tools that they need. We certainly would not take away something if we didn't feel like it was covered somewhere else and or supported somewhere else. And again, as we move forward, if we find that we are going through the books that are in this online resource already, we need more by the end of the school year, we can certainly look for future years to bulk up and support things. So that's kind of where we stand on the RAS Kids piece. I don't know if that helps maybe clarify some of the questions that were out there in the public. But again,
If I may?
if a parent has, yes, go ahead.
So,
Go ahead, Kristen.
hi. Yes, so I know there was a lot of concern, I could tell you, across the fourth grade over at Applegarth, because I'm a fourth grade parent. And I'm wondering if there's a way that the parents could be informed about this, because even as a fourth grade parent myself, and being the board president and part of curriculum, I did not realize that RAS Kids was going away. And it took me quite a while myself going through MyView and how to access it, and a lot of clicks to actually get to the books. So I'm not sure if it would help possibly for something to go out from, I don't know if it would be from the principals or the supervisor, but parents are not aware of the vast library of books on MyView.
Yeah, Ms. McLeod can respond.
I was over at one of the schools today, Oak Tree, and we're in the process of doing a lot of PD with the teachers too, so that they can become more familiar with what is in this platform, because it is robust. There are so many parent letters that go along with this, so that is definitely something that we can easily do. And I even taught one of the teachers today how to create a playlist to make it easier for the parent not to have to click around all over the platform, so that everything is in one folder for you to see when you open it up on your end. So I'm working with everyone on that. It might take a minute for us to push this out, but it is available, and I can work on that with the schools to get that accomplished.
Yeah, and just another quick comment. You know, one of the things that has been said multiple times through multiple classrooms is that the board got rid of RAS Kids. And when it came to me and somebody asked me, why did you guys get rid of this? I said, I didn't even know it was gone. To be honest, I clicked into Clever and I couldn't find it, because that's where I used to access it. So I just think we need to, as a curriculum committee, you know, if the supervisors aren't going to put something up for renewal. I do think it should be discussed, and I think that we should know what we are taking away as resources going forward, because there was a lot of confusion at the elementary school as to, why this was taken away, and parents were not informed that there was something in place of it. And I think, Ghazala, you may have had some personal experience with
Yeah,
questions.
I was just gonna share the same, that I had quite a few parents, and you have the perspective of a fourth grade parent, I don't, I only have kids in high school. So I had a lot of angry phone calls. And they happened after the parent-teacher meeting where the teacher informed the parent, the board has taken away RAS kits. We can't do anything. I think what would have been a better communication from the teachers would be, there is an alternate, thing for the child to use, and
Yes.
for the teachers to either educate the parent then or say, we'll be sending you out something shortly. For them to say this is gone with no replacement was kind of putting, the wrong message out. So I think our first approach, and you already have put the PD in place. One of my suggestions is Loom videos. I know Dr. Higgins uses it in high school.
Yeah.
If you could have the teachers in the classroom create Loom videos and send us an email to the parents so that they know how to navigate the My View and get to these sections quickly, like Chrissy figured her way out, but if there'll be so many parents that'll not put the work in, but they have a video to watch, they'll do it. And I agree, every time that we're taking something away, we have to put extra caution in place as to what are we communicating to the end user. The end users are teachers and children, and they should be top of mind. Teachers should know what is it being replaced by, and then children should know, what to tell their parents.
And I think the teachers were really caught off guard. They weren't expecting, because the usage was so low, and that's what we based our decisions off of. I don't think they were expecting the type of questions that they got. I don't know that they were fully prepared to answer the concerns, but
Sometimes our data is wrong.
no, they're totally engaging in PD. We're working on that. And Dr. Roselle actually came up with a really good idea for BookFlix and TrueFlix, and allowing us to come up with a one-pager potentially that we could attach to their web pages where the parents could go. So we're working on that as well. And I'm going to collaborative planning days that the teachers are engaging in so that I can really get them familiar with the digital platform so that they know how to push this out appropriately onto the site for the
The
parents.
screen recording is the lowest hanging fruit.
I know, as a
Every teacher can
principal, I
do
used it
something,
as well. I
yeah.
love it,
I
absolutely.
think, great ideas. I think it's great ideas and stuff, but we're not here to tell them how to do their job. I
I
just have to
agree.
say that. I think that they do a fine job of doing that. Ms. Chaley wants to say something, and then I have a comment.
Yeah, so my comment is, I think that's all fabulous, and I did know it, because I know that My View has replaced it, and they have, a huge library. In addition to everything you're doing, and it doesn't have to be you, it could be the principals, but somehow, some way, a consistent message needs to go home in a Blackboard Connect to parents. Because while you're doing all this wonderful work, the parents are still gonna be in the dark, not knowing what you're doing. So we could say, we wanted to bring to your attention that we no longer have RAS kits. However, we are using a My View resource, and within this platform, we have an unbelievable amount of, of literacy, unbelievable amount of books within the library. And we are coming up with a one sheet. In the meanwhile, you can follow these steps. I think that if you want to do it as a supervisor elementary ed, or you want to do it in compilation with Dr. Roselle as the supervisor ELA, I think that would actually be better than the principals, because then it's consistent, it comes from you guys, and it goes directly out to everybody. Because everything we're saying is great, but we still haven't tackled the problem that parents still will not know.
Well, and that was gonna be my final comment on the topic, because I want to move on, because I don't want to spend forever on just two topics today. Is communication. And I kind of direct my comments at both you and Dr. Lehman, because I think what we had here from the beginning was a failure to communicate. A failure to communicate that we did the research, we decided that RAS kids is not, we're not. And I'm sure you did. If I went back and looked at minutes, you may have said this, we may have brought it up. It just may not have come up for renewal just a little bit, but it's great that you're in there, you're working and stuff, but this should have happened in July. This should have happened in, we should have had something. Now, you guys are here July, I know the teachers aren't, but a communication, parents don't mind a communication in the middle of summer if they know that they're gonna have to have other resources or whatever, because I'm sure somewhere out there, there's a YouTube video on My View and how to get in it and how to do it, and the parents could have, done some of that, you know, parents are quite savvy and, you know, they know how to find the resources, and believe me, you know, Khan Academy got me through algebra, okay? Lots of, you know, but again, the communication, often simple. And if you think you've communicated enough, you haven't. Believe me, it's pervasive throughout all industries, and it's really, it always comes down to just an inadequate amount of communication to the people that need the communication. And then just from my perspective, teachers shouldn't blame the board for things that happened, and that's just to me a professional thing. You shouldn't blame anybody, right? You should just say, hey, we no longer have RAS kids, we now have My View. Sorry that you're not really sure how to use it, but I'm happy to help you with that. And that could just be a teacher just being called out on the spot and going, I don't know what to do. But our natural human response is to blame somebody else. But we shouldn't blame anybody for anything. So that's just my last comment on that. Does anybody else have anything else they want to say on ELA resources? Thank you for your thorough assessment. Appreciate it. Okay. Mr. Schneider, I'm going to skip you because you're going to be like the next person, because you got a lot of stuff. So I'm going to go to Ms. McLeod for 2nd and 7.
That was a truly excellent event. And I have to thank everyone that participated, everyone involved, and everyone that helped us to plan that. Mr. Barandica and Mr. Snyder, we each covered one of the lower elementary schools. 80 athletes from the high school participated, and it represented all of the fall teams, including cheer and dance. So we split them up. Mr. Barandica split them up. They went to all of the schools. Before they even got to the classroom, we had the books at the schools, and some of our high school students from our special classes were the students that stuffed them with the parent letter that went home. So they were there. Our students picked them up. They were excited. A lot of them went back to their home schools that they went to elementary school in. So they were overjoyed. They got to visit their teachers. What was really amazing on my end, and I know a lot of us all saw it, was just what great leaders the athletes really truly are and how comfortable they were facilitating the discussions. So that was great. And when they left, they asked if they could be part of this again. So it was a really great program. We do plan to do it again in the winter and the spring. Those books have already been delivered to us for those sessions. We shared pictures. Ms. Meralda put them on the Facebook page already. We even had pictures of the students stuffing the books with the flyers. And then we're hoping with some discussion, maybe we could bring it down to the first grade as well, if possible, give some other students a chance to experience that. But it was a really nice day. It was really great. And I can't thank everyone enough for helping with that in any capacity.
I wanted to share just one, so I was at Mill Lake, you were at Oak Tree, and Mr. Barandica was at Barkley Brook. So at Mill Lake, I was bouncing around from classroom, just getting pictures and checking in on the athletes. But at the end of this, the kids were so mesmerized by the high school athletes that markers were provided, the autographs. They were actually signing the kids' books at the end. But there was one little girl in particular at Mill Lake who, at the end, they had to leave, and they said, "Do you have any questions whatsoever?" And one little girl raised her hand and goes to the, I believe it was the cheerleaders in there. She goes, "Can I give you a hug?" And she said, "Of course." And we have a picture of it, and it was just very heartwarming for that. It was just, it was very moving as far as that one. And then I actually got an email, Ms. McLeod, myself, and Mr. Barandica and I, we got an email from one of our high school athletes sending us an email saying what a just wonderful time she had. And it was just an amazing experience for her, wanting to come back again, and said, "Do you happen to have any extra copies of the book that we gave them?" Because they wanted one, the high school athletes wanted. That's how much it meant to them. So it really was I would say a home run, and I want to thank Sam for bringing this to Stephen and I for.
It was really, they stepped up too, because of, I think there was a state game or something that day, and we were short a few readers at Oak Tree. They did multiple classes.
Yeah.
And they didn't even question it. They were enjoying it so much, they just stepped up and did that for us. So it was really a great way to involve the students into the elementary school. So I'm
Awesome.
glad that we were able to do that.
Kudos. That's awesome. Anybody else have any comments?
I just want to clarify.
I'm
I'm so glad you guys brought the program here, and I totally knew that's how excited the high school athletes would be, and I knew how enamored the little ones would be, so.
I think the high school students are more excited.
I'm here to stay.
Excited.
Yeah, that's right, listen, stickers are good.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Snyder, you're up.
Sure.
Alternate
We'll
pathways.
talk about alternate pathways first, sure. So, the committee asked for towards the end of the market period for an update on the, alternate pathways option 2. And here is where we stand. This was very successful for really being a pilot program for the first time. In marking period 1, at the end, we ended up with 172 students participating in the program. Already for marking period 2, which is next marking period, we haven't even reopened the registration yet. That is coming next week. But, or at the end of this week, actually, we already have 196 enrolled for marking period 2. And for marking period 4, we are at 201. So
I guess it was a success.
it is, I would say that's a success for all of us. It's been great to hear from students that have been participating in this, that have come back with a lot of positive feedback about students that have never really taken the initiative to go to the gym on their own, that are now going 3 times a week, and all of the additional activities that outside of the varsity sports, the students that are playing that they're really doing on their own to gain their 150 minutes. So I'm very happy with, again, for just the first semester of this happening. We are keeping very close attention on the Monday at 2:00 deadline to hand in the weekly paperwork, because this is, as we said at the beginning, this is a graduation requirement though. But I'm very happy though, I think this is really good data that out of this marking period, in the first marking period, out of all the students there have only been 8 students that we put back in phys ed for not handing in their paperwork for where it is. So a strong majority are doing what they're supposed to do. But I think that 2-strike policy is a good one, because this is, like I said, graduation requirements in there. So we are going to reopen up the enrollment form later this week for second marking period, and anyone else who has not yet registered is free to do so. We are going to keep it open up until the last, I believe, for 2 weeks fully. We're gonna leave it open, and then we will know by the start of the marking period exactly who's participating. What we're trying to avoid is having it bleed too much into each marking period. So before each marking period starts, we know exactly who's participating and that. But I've heard nothing but positive feedback from students. So I would say this is a success to get off the ground, and we can continue rolling in the right direction. So that's it.
So I have a question. Those that you put back into gym, are you allowing them to re-sign up for future marking periods? Like if they wanted, you put them back in first, or you allow them in fourth to try it again, or no?
The short answer is we are not as of right now,
Okay, I'm just.
but that is certainly a discussion that we can, we can have.
Me?
Yeah.
You're done for the year. You're done, like,
Yeah, because
because it is a graduation requirement, and the last thing that I want to hear the day before graduation is that I'm not graduating because I didn't get my phys ed requirements in. Hello, we gave you 100 different ways you could get your graduation.
and they were clearly outlined at the beginning. The students
Right.
knew what they were getting.
It wasn't like it was a
I should say,
surprise.
third marking period, they are all coming back for help. Yep.
Anybody have any questions? No. You feeling all right?
I was just gonna say, maybe we should allow them, but you're
Yeah.
right, we don't wanna take chances.
No.
Give
That's an ongoing,
Yeah.
that's a conversation that I certainly will have with Dr. Higgins at the high school, and I'm certainly not opposed to it, so.
Yeah. That's why I was
But
asking.
congratulations on a successful launch. This is the game changer. for
Thank
sure.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't we head into curriculum documents? You have phys ed and health, grade 6.
6, 7, and 8. So I will.
It's a little bit.
So I just made an outline of our document. These are three separate documents, by the way, one for six, one for seventh, one for eighth. I'm gonna be talking a lot about them as 6, 7, 8.
That's perfect.
Just to, because I know we are on a time crunch, but, so this is the curriculum for phys ed and health at Monroe Township Middle School. Phys ed and health, the goal of the documents is to have the units designed to really help students participate in both teams, not only team sports and learning about them, but really individual skills, and most importantly, skills that they can take with them for the rest of their lives that we're teaching here at the middle school. We really have a focus on being a part of a team and including things like sportsmanship, specific skills to each specific activity. Being a part of a team, what is teamwork, what is working together towards a common goal, being a part of all of this gives students those skills and really improving their overall health and giving them knowledge to know what's important for their health. And that the phys ed curriculum does allow students to maintain mental health awareness also, and really we rely on the social emotional support systems as far as engaging in really a physical lifestyle out there. There's a misconception a lot, and that is that the purpose of phys ed, especially when we get to the middle school level, is we're looking to really produce elite athletes and turn everyone into really an elite athlete. That is not the case. What our goal is to teach students to understand the specific skills and concepts taught between these. And then if a student develops phenomenal athletic skills, that's wonderful, but that is not the goal. But another goal is just having the ability to participate in these life skills and these sports, not to be, the goal is not for every single student to become an elite athlete. If you look at me, I'm exhibit A of that. I'm certainly a lot of things, and an elite athlete is not one of them. In health for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, the document is designed to educate students on topics that can be challenging for adolescents while growing into mature young adults. Middle school, as we know, can be a very challenging time for a lot of students. What we want to do is give them the resources to make right decisions, know right and wrong in decision making, and really maintain a positive attitude while really navigating these topics for each individual student. We want each of them to possess good physical health and be able to pursue, a life where they're developing at the young age good, healthy habits for themselves to take with them as they grow. So I outlined some of the highlights of the documents. One other thing I wanted to say is what we do in phys ed and health for a lot of this, and this is being new to the role, this has been really nice to see, is there's a lot of self-reflecting and self-evaluations happening in all of these activities in both physical education and health, which is very important, especially for the age that we're talking about at middle school. So in grade 6, the sports that we are offering students in grade 6 as part of their phys ed class, we have soccer, volleyball, ultimate frisbee, basketball, and lacrosse. There's recreational units and activities, handball, bowling, and juggling. One of the things that really stuck out to me in the document was one of the assessments on bowling was students were asked to create a 3-dimensional diagram of a single bowling lane and then describe the rules of bowling based on it. So they're using a lot of skills to really learn about these recreational activities and think about it in really a different way. The health-related fitness, students start learning about physical wellness and knowing their current level of fitness. So, and this is a good time to start because students will become very aware of their level and where they personally want to go and improve and what is recommended for a healthy lifestyle. And FitnessGram is one of the things that is really it's a self-evaluation where students can set their goals and say, okay, well, this is where I want to be. This is how I get there in terms of fitness. In the health component, this is the grade in sixth grade where we talk about bullying in a unit where we want to teach every student to become a valued member of society, making decisions. What is a right decision? What is a wrong decision? What is a joke? What is serious? What is personal respect for themselves, their teachers, their parents, their friends? That is what we start discussing, and how every student wants to be treated and how they should be treating others in those there. We talk about relationships, whether that's friends, family, teachers, coworkers, significant others, and awareness in each of these relationships. And again, the decision-making, coping with situations, self-management, resolving conflict between a variety of different areas. So that is some of the highlights of our sixth grade. In seventh grade, we do keep some of the same sporting activities as we go through the years. You're going to note some similarities here. And as we get going, there are more things like tournaments, things where the kids are already skilled and not learning for, the first time. But we are offering softball, basketball, field hockey, track and field, volleyball, football, and rugby in grade 7, which is a really wide variety. And then recreational games again, such as table tennis, which is always fun. We have more of an introduction to personal fitness as far as getting the students introduced to, the different types of weights in a gym, for instance, and that. And then I should before I get in grade 6, I neglected one thing that I want to go back. Kids do take lead in grade 6, which is a program taught by actual police officers that come in and they teach the students. About drugs, alcohol. A couple of years ago, they even had added vaping to that. But that is not part of phys ed. That's by their general team in sixth grade. So I wanted to totally skipped over that one. But in seventh grade, for the health portion, this is where we do have units on drugs and alcohol. And we have this in eighth grade as well. In seventh grade, we focus on more gateway drugs, so to speak, and educating them on the effects of that and what that, what the effects and consequences could be to that. Personal health and safety, and individual actions, genetics, and family history come into play here in the seventh grade. In the eighth grade, the sports offered lacrosse, basketball, volleyball, rugby, golf, and tennis. So we start seeing some more springtime sports when they get to eighth grade, which could be played in the spring and in the fall. Games such as pickleball, badminton. Pickleball is actually very popular right now.
Yes.
It's actually a very popular thing. So I told my phys ed staff there's a list of stuff that I want to do before the end of the year. One is to play ultimate frisbee. The other is a pickleball. So that made my list. So we do have Gaga ball as well, which I remember from back when I was in middle school. I also told my staff I was the first one out every time, so maybe I will try to play and get better at that too. And then in the health units, the drugs and alcohol unit that we have there, in eighth grade, we really start focusing on the more very serious effects of drugs and alcohol, really hard drugs, consequences of drinking, and that becomes much more in depth in eighth grade than that in seventh grade. Personal health and safety, we do talk about infections in this grade as far as that. Now, in talking to my staff, the infections are for the students to know, what does an infection look like? So going forward, so they discover that it's more how to identify an infection if one is on their body. And we do have an introduction to nutrition, as well, and making sure they eat a healthy, balanced diet and, benefits that, and also individualized, plans they can look at as far as their own nutrition. What are they eating? What should they be eating? What do they want to eat? So it's a lot of reflection going on that. And for students that are really into what they're doing in phys ed, there's a variety of sports teams and clubs at the middle school that they can participate in. Actually, looking at the list of clubs from when I started at the middle school, it's really expanding and in a very positive way, I think, with such a variety between athletics and just more recreation, which we cover in here. I think the list was about 20 deep last time I checked, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it's a very good variety of things that they could take with them from phys ed and look at after school. So there's a lot, and that's our middle school. I know we're on a time crunch, so I want to take time for
No,
questions.
you're good. You're good. Question?
I have a question.
Ms. Albert?
I know there's been some pushback about these comprehensive standards, particularly with the health.
Yes.
Are you experiencing that here in Monroe? And if so, is there an opt-in, opt-out option
Yes,
available?
so only having been in the role since July, I actually have only gotten one email myself
Okay.
about this, some individual teachers may have gotten, some things. The interesting part about that is I think there's some, I don't want to say misconceptions, but with the standards in having studied these now is what has changed is really the standards, but if you walk into a classroom, the instruction that the teacher is delivering is the same as it has been. It's just the standards are the ones that's changing.
Mhm.
I would say that is a little more at the lower grades, at the elementary schools, which we will be doing at a future meeting. But the middle school, really, there has not been many changes other than really the standards that are implemented. But in talking to my staff, they're going to be instructing the same way and the same things that have all covered. Now, you asked about opt-outs.
Or opt-in?
So students may opt out of the family life portion of health. That will require a letter in writing to the building principal for them to opt out. What we spoke about is for anyone that opts out of these, of that portion of health, they will not attend those classes, which are not many classes. It's only a small, it's a sub portion of a sub portion.
Mhm.
So they will not attend that portion, but they will, be in the middle school. We're looking to probably have supervision in the pack, but they will be required to do an alternate. It's not just going to be a couple free periods for them to, hang out. They're going to be required to do an alternate assignment on that. So it's an ongoing thing.
Thank you.
Yes, I had a comment on, so we did a parent session on drugs here in high school.
Mhm.
I remember attending that 3 years ago, and I was like, my God, scared, mind blown. I had a parent reach out to me just last week. They must have attended the one that was recently done, and their child was in middle school, and they were like, we're not informing our children early enough, and this is too late in the game. And I knew about the leave for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm going to encourage that parent to watch tonight's meeting or actually see, whatever they can to the 7th and 8th grade. I know lead is 6th grade, but
Yes.
in your document, it showed that we covered that for almost drug and alcohol and almost all April
Yeah.
in the timeline.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we are educating our children enough.
Absolutely.
We are. I feel confident after hearing you and seeing tonight's curriculum. So I just feel like maybe the parents are not aware. And as I was not prepared to give them a response
No,
myself.
I think we're doing we definitely are spending the time on it in middle school. And this is off topic, but sort of relates. So the other day, for our 10th grade driver's ed classes at the high school, Officer Taylor of the police department came with DUI cards and goggles. And our classes were brought outside and the kids were allowed to drive the DUI carts through cones, put on the goggles and walk in a straight line. And it was, we were out there for over an hour with students and it was really eye-opening. So even after they leave middle school, when we get to high school in 10th grade, we're still, and I'd like to actually see that expand to really all our driver's ed classes. This is, it was a really
Thank you for sharing.
eye-opening experience, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
If I could just make a comment, Ghazala, to your point, you know, LEAD has been in our district for as many years as I can remember. And before that was DARE. And, you know, you didn't know what to say to the parent. Sometimes we have to be honest and say to parents, you know, education does begin at home. You know, talking to your children about drugs and alcohol, really, the conversation should begin at home. And the school district, yes, I think we do an incredible job, 6th, 7th, and 8th, getting them prepared for high school. But honestly, sometimes it's hard for parents to look inside their own house and see where maybe their shortcomings are, educating about that. But we all, you know, we have to be on top of the subject and absolutely let them listen to this and point them to the curriculum document to show how young we do start. 6th grade is young. And, you know, I think we do a good job of trying to get them first through the door, because if you look at the curriculum document, drugs is discussed in 7th grade. And that's per the state guideline. That's when the state says you should be introducing it. We're actually introducing it a whole year earlier. And on top of the 6th grade health, LEAD is separate from the health. And we're introducing the LEAD program in 6th grade. So I think we're actually getting ahead of ourselves in teaching it and being proactive than other school districts are doing. So that would be something that I would say to share to those parents.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on what you said, that you had watched a workshop once and you were blown.
Because my kid probably knew what I didn't know.
And I also attended a workshop like that last year, but it was only open to high school parents. Maybe if we open it up to.
Well, this was the middle school parent.
Oh, okay.
That
Okay, the one
actually-
I went to was high school. Maybe.
No,
if
I think we
opened
sent
it-
a Blackboard connected the entire district to come attend.
Oh,
this one
okay.
for-
But that was very informative. So
Very
maybe the
informative.
parents-
And if I may, during the orientation for, so we do orientation back to school night. So we used to do it both, but I know for a fact during the orientation, which we always do in the spring for the incoming, when we do our presentation, we have our lead officers there and they do a presentation
Right.
on cyberbullying, appropriate utilization of technology, appropriate utilization of the cell phone, media, social media, and drugs and alcohol. So we really are providing it. You know, parents sometimes have to,
I feel much more
maybe we don't know.
informed in informing the parents.
yeah, I think, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank
No,
you.
Great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Roselle, you are the last item on the agenda and you actually have like 10 minutes.
Yes, I won't, yeah.
Okay.
So I have the grade 6 Spanish document. I had a bunch of world language documents that were updated this year. Grade 6 was updated to reflect new standards, was the result of some articulation between our elementary and our upper middle school grades, as well as state curricular mandates. So there are 3 units. Just for context, 6th grade students have Spanish in either marking periods 1 and 3 or 2 and 4, and alternatively have the PBL math. So the first marking period, whether it's 1 or 2, they start with Porque Español, which is why we study a world language, specifically Spanish. This then moves into Hispanic holidays. No matter when students have it, whether they have it this unit during their first or second marking period, if it's the first, it coincides with Hispanic Heritage Month, Dia de los Muertos. If it's the second, Festival of the Three Kings. So really looking at different cultures around the world, Spanish-speaking cultures, and making connections with our own cultures. That is one of the benefits of studying a world language, is not only do we learn about other cultures, but it helps us to examine and celebrate our own culture as well. And then the second unit is Welcome to My Home. And it's all about the different rooms of the home, what we do in different rooms of the home. The kitchen is the heart of the home in so many cultures, not only American culture, also Hispanic culture, and many other cultures. So part of what is discussed is not only learning about the cultures of Spanish-speaking countries, but also comparing that to students' own experiences. We really leverage that egocentricity of adolescence. Students are talking a lot about themselves throughout these units, their own experiences, their own ideas, their own thoughts. We teach language through culture. There is some research involved, so students will research Hispanic holidays. They will do some research on the different types of homes in different areas. For example, homes that are in more tropical climates as opposed to homes that might be in Spain during that second unit. Lots of projects, interaction, speaking and listening. So this curriculum, it's an update and really fits nicely between that upper elementary exploratory curriculum, and then students moving into grade 7 and grade 8, where they're getting a little deeper into the content. Cool. Any questions?
Okay.
Perfect.
Hey,
It was 2 months in a row we went for it.
I know we did, but that's okay. And we still had some really good discussion, so.
We did.
All right, so that, any other business before the curriculum committee? If not, that'll be the end of our curriculum committee. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Those watching online, thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.